Hey everyone, Travis here in a hotel room next to PAX. We won't say which hotel room because then people will swarm you, but haven't had a chance to interview Doublelift or anybody from CLG even since last week whenever they failed to make it to Worlds, now obviously going into relegations, and so I am here now with Doublelift to discuss all of that. Many people are used to the very funny, serious, or funny, not so serious ones, but unfortunately, I'm going to start off this interview with the fact that Doublelift, this is the third year I've been to PAX, and the third year I've seen CLG play here at playoffs, and you guys have consistently gotten worse and placed worse over the course of those 3 years. What's the deal? I mean, why? You guys have made so many adjustments and changes, and you've said this is the time that it's going to be resolved, and this is the roster and all that, but it just has only gotten worse over time. What's happening?
Well, to be honest, like season 2 was like a huge joke. We got third place, right? Yeah, alongside Dignitas and TSM, and like there was no Cloud9, there was like no real structure to it. So we just basically run through raw skill, and there was like no organization or coaching or like any sort of planning going into the regionals. That's why NA was such a dumpster in season 2 Worlds. Like no, we didn't win a single game, pretty much. And then season 3 came, and we had the unfortunate time of facing TSM in the quarters. Yeah, and then we got knocked out, and that really sucked. And I guess TSM was just our kryptonite. And to be honest, like I didn't even think we were that bad. I think we just choked really hard. If you remember, that was like the PAX where everyone was just playing really poorly. It was the one where Chester got like laughed at or whatever, and there was that like famous Sona ulti that he missed, and it was just like a really bad time for us, I guess. And especially like that was also a time when we had like zero structure. We didn't have a coach. We didn't have any help. Actually, sorry, I take that back. We had Monty to help us boot camp, but it was like too late, you know? Like by the time you do, well, one thing I've learned from those last 2 regionals is boot camping. The results of the boot camp don't like immediately affect your team strength. So like when you boot camp, you don't just like come out of the boot camp really strong. I think like the effects of the boot camp will settle in like a couple of weeks or months later, at least for our team. And then yeah, that was when we got, I think, what, 5th place last year, and then this year we got 6th place, which is terrible. We got relegated. I don't know. I don't really have an explanation. I guess we just suck, and our team just like I think we just disintegrated after we lost to Curse. Honestly, like our mentality was just like we were just broken. Our attitude was just like gone. We didn't have it in us to win.
You guys placed worse here than you did at the spring playoffs, despite having, you know, it was a boot camping in Korea, as you said, maybe a delayed effect there, but many people criticized Nien, and you replaced him with Seraph, who was thought to be this really great player from Korea. It didn't seem to really pan out. You know, what went wrong this split specifically? I mean, what led to you guys doing so poorly here?
It was really weird. I think I don't know. It's really hard not to like put blame on certain members of the team, but like, and it's like nobody's like individual fault. It was like all our team decisions, I guess. So like it all started when we got 3rd place last playoffs in spring. So if anyone remembers, like we had a really close series versus TSM. We lost 2-1, and what happened was we stomped them the first game. We were stomping the second game, and then like we went on tilt after that after we lost, and then we lost the 3rd game. And then we were like, damn, we totally should have been able to go to All-Stars because, like, we were practicing constantly with Cloud9. We were doing really well against them. And, like, people thought we were, like, a top 2, potentially, like, the best team. And we thought so, too. So then when we lost, it was, like, this horrible wake-up call, like, holy crap. And we did it wrong. We thought that we were terrible, which is wrong. Like, and Nien took a lot of heat from the community, and he couldn't handle, like, I don't know, just juggling life things and the heat from being a pro player on CLG, and like people just like hated him. So we got Seraph, and then I guess it just started being like this great divide between the team. Because like if you remember, we never dropped to a game to a team in the spring split when they were lower placed than us. We only dropped games to Cloud9 and TSM in that whole split when Dexter came. So we were super strong, really consistent. If you don't games to teams that are lower than you, it means you're really consistent, right? So we were really strong, and then Nyan dropped down. We got Seraph, and there's like a language barrier, and like we started, I don't know, like our team atmosphere just got really bad, and it's nobody's fault. It was just like the team decision, and we had to make do with what we had. And we don't have like a life coach, which is like the biggest problem. We don't have somebody in the house with us telling us like, wow, this is like a really unhealthy relationship you guys have. You should go out together more. You should be friendly more. You shouldn't like sulk after you have a bad day of scrims and just like keep it all in. You should have somebody you can vent to, and then maybe like things will get resolved. But instead, like everything got really pent up, and like you could tell by like watching Chasing the Cup, everyone's just like really frustrated with each other, and nobody's open enough. Like we don't have extroverted players on the team except for Dexter, so nobody's like has like a good way to approach these situations. And then we just we have like no teamwork and no synergy, no communication. And when it comes time to land, like we choke really hard because the atmosphere is just so terrible. There's never been a time where I've been on CLG and all 5 of us have been friends. That's like the biggest problem, I think.
So at this moment, the team just, people know that Cloud9 is this great group of friends. And I think a lot of people suspect that that's part of the reason they have the success. You would say right now CLG's missing that there's not friendship between all of you guys.
Yeah, I think we've always missed that. Like people always say like, wow, CLG's roster is really skilled or like potential, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, wow, they have like the first Korean. We were the first team to import a Korean. And, I think we were the first team to import even a European with Dexter, if I'm not mistaken. Amazing came later. Bjergsen came at the same time. Anyways, we always like have the right idea, but the execution always sucks because
Edward, by the way.
Oh yeah, Edward. Good call. Anyways, we have like good ideas, Take talent from across the world. Like we have a coach, but I don't know. Our execution of these ideas like really sucks, and I think it's because like we can't have a roster where we're 5 friends. There's always like some problem. It's always something different. Whatever iteration of CLG it is, I've never felt like we were really like a family, like a team.
I mean, the obvious question from there is, if the roster right now aren't friends, do you make a roster change? CLG's never been afraid to do something like that before. Is one of them coming?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. I don't handle that stuff. Like people think that I'm like the whatever, like figurehead superstar, whatever of CLG, and I make these decisions. Like it's not up to me at all. Actually, I have like the exact same vote in this situation as like Seraph, Dexter, Link, Afro. I don't have any more say than anyone else. So it's not up to me. Yeah, we're not afraid to make roster changes, and like I think it's really unfair that we get this rep for constantly like replacing members of the team. We do that, but every team has done that. I mean, like Dignitas like overhauled their solo laners. TSM made like a bunch of roster changes. Like yeah, Curse. Like you could just look at all these people who get replaced in the middle of the split. Like at least we have the decency to replace people between splits so their career doesn't like fall to pieces. I mean, look at where Glebe is now. Look at where Bunny Fufu is now. These guys didn't even have a chance to get back in the scene because like they didn't even let them finish out their splits. So if we do a roster change, you'll probably know of it soon, so we don't like screw somebody over. We just have to have a meeting about it. I can't like say anything right now.
So it's at least a possibility.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Something definitely needs to change. And like I already told my teammates, if you think I'm like a negative influence on the team, then just replace me and like find somebody else. Because like if I'm hurting my team, then I don't want to be a part of it. Like why would you want to hold your good friends back? Like I'm super close with Link and Afro. I would never want to hold them back. If at any time they think that I'm the reason why they can't win, or I'm like a big part of the reason, and if they can do better, then by all means, like I have no problem being replaced.
You're known for being a very strong AD carry, but the problems that you're discussing are more around team atmosphere. Do you think that you are possibly a negative effect on the team, at least in that aspect?
I think, yeah, I do have like I'm not even gonna deny it. I'm negative influence. I'm definitely not like a positive influence when it comes to team atmosphere because I'm like not the person like Afro is who like Afro's the kind of person who's like, hey, let's go out and do something together and like let's try to feel like a family and like a team. Link's like kind of person to defuse situations. I'm the kind of person where like if I see something is wrong, then I'll call it out, and that's not the player's place. So like the problem is like I came from a time of like league esports where you would just call each other out and then hopefully things would get fixed. So like let's say you're a mid player and there's jungle and jungle fucked up in some sort of skirmish. And then the mid player would be like, "Hey, you messed up." But like the problem is that like puts like an uneven power level between those two people. It's like you have the power over this person to tell him that they messed up. That's the coach's job. That's what like a manager or a coach or an analyst is supposed to do is tell that person from a completely outside perspective, you messed up and you need to do this to fix it. So like I don't know. I guess I was like really liberal with my criticism, and I've always been like a really critical player, and I don't have a problem when somebody tells me that I'm messing up, but like some people don't react well. They don't react well at all to being told that they're fucking up. And especially when it's like every day, when you're scrimming for like 14 hours, then you don't want to hear that like you messed up every hour, like every game, like here's what you could have done better. That's not my place to do it, and I've definitely done that. And the other thing is like just because of who I am, because I'm Doublelift, it's just weird because I just know for sure that like members of the team think that my opinion means more than theirs. You know, like it's hard to argue with me, or it's hard to like be against me. Like if it's my opinion versus another person's opinion, they feel like because I'm Doublelift that my opinion holds more weight, and that's wrong. Like I don't want it to be like that. I want everyone to be equal on the team, but it's hard because I'm the longest standing member and I have like the spotlight on me all the time, so it's just a very like weird mental thing.
On TSM, it's known that Reginald and Locodoco, or at least maybe one or the other, are kind of this weird mixture. It's not entirely known, but that those two are they have a very active role in the roster changes. Mm-hmm. It's not just left all on the players. You mentioned that your vote counts as much as any of the other 4 members on CLG, as if it's the team decision and there's not any management or coaching staff involved in that. Do you think that that's an issue at all with CLG? Should Monty or Zeeks or whoever be more involved in making those decisions?
Zix is too new, so he would have like an opinion in the roster change, but not overly like weighted, like overarching our opinions put together. Monty does not like get to see our day-to-day interactions. Like he got to see it for 2 weeks or like 2.5 weeks when we were in Korea. But for the most part, he doesn't really know the daily going-ons of the team because of the distance. So he would also not have like an accurate opinion about roster changes. So this is the problem, you see. Like we have staff, but we don't utilize them in the way that we should. And so they cannot help us as much as other team staff, like Loco and Reggie obviously doing like a super good job for TSM. We don't have that. And we're just a bunch of kids. So it's hard for us to make the right decision. It's hard for us to treat each other right. When it comes to roster changes, like, that was just a recommendation to us by Monty. And we took it because we trust that someone like Monty would know best for us.
You mean, when you say that, you're discussing they're referring to the acquisition of Seraph, right?
Yeah, sorry. That's when we didn't know who Seraph was. It was just something like an outside opinion, And so because of that, we didn't know how well Seraph would assimilate with the team and like assimilate with American culture.
We've discussed the fact that you feel as though you might be a negative influence, and you've opened the floor to your teammates, specifically your closest teammates, Afro and Link, to let you go if that's the case. Is there a chance that we're going to see a CLG next year without a Doublelift, or is there it opens a whole nother line of questions, but is no one on the team safe right now?
Yeah, nobody's safe. I think it's really silly when people say like people get complacent, because I've never actually worked with an organization or like any sort of team atmosphere where you weren't constantly reminded that you're replaceable. Even like the superstars, I'm sure, even like Bjergsen and me and Medios, I'm sure that none of us have ever, once in our lives, ever thought like, wow, we are irreplaceable. We are these godlike beings that just like, how could you do anything to us? We're untouchable. I mean, really, we're all just come from the same background. we're all just a bunch of nerds from high school who got really famous because we joined the right organization at the right time at the right esport. If we were playing like Smash or something, we wouldn't like be half as famous. And I don't know, it's just like I know that I'm replaceable, and everyone on my team should know because we're constantly reminded by Kelby. He tells us all the time that if you guys underperform, if you guys don't fulfill sponsor obligations and don't reflect on the CLG brand correctly, you will be replaced. It's that easy. Like, they have the money to do it, and they'll do it.
Reginald and Monte Cristo have obviously ignited what I would consider to be an esports holy war.
Yeah.
It's been quite intense. You have Reginald calling Monty a fraud.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen anyone other than Kelby make a statement about Monty's involvement in the team. Reginald specifically said that there were players on CLG who were saying Monte Cristo does nothing for them. I'm just curious because we haven't heard anything from a player yet on Monte Cristo's role, or if he did nothing, or if it was all a sham, his involvement with the team yet. Where the truth lies in any of that, if at all.
So I think like most of Reginald's thing was that, yeah, Monty's a fraud and doesn't help us, which is wrong because we Skype call with Monty pretty frequently, and when we were in Korea, he wasn't just like a placebo coach, like he said, for the camera. That's ridiculous to like even, because you could like easily confirm or deny that by like the people's actions in the house, like even the reporters. He was actually helping us when we were in Korea and in boot camp mode. And he helped us last year too when he moved over to NA for a couple weeks so he could help us boot camp for the last year's regionals. But as you can tell from our results in the last two regionals, where we've just not made worlds, and it's not Monty's fault at all, but it's really hard to just jump in at like for one time a year and actually be there in-house, like in-person coaching. So like it's wrong for Reggie to say that it was that he's a fraud and he's not trying, because Monty's really trying, and he has to juggle OGN and trying to coach us online, which is super hard. But at the same time, there is a little bit of truth where Reggie says it's like pretty much impossible to coach from online, and that's something that we've finally had to learn after like a year and a half. It is extremely hard to coach a team from online because you don't get to coach what's actually important, right? Like gameplay stuff, sure, that you can try to help with gameplay stuff, but really like we're pro players and we're all like super smart about the game. It's more like life stuff and how we interact with each other in person, because having a healthy relationship with your teammates is something that we've never valued until now, and it's too late now, like we've already lost. But next year we're going to definitely value being close and having that in-house coach to help us like fix these kind of problems, because it's just gone terrible so far.
You mentioned that there's no way for a coach to be effective online, but at the same time, people also often talk about Charlie, who's worked remotely with Cloud9 almost entirely except for at events.
Yeah.
Do you think that's just like a random exception to the rule?
So the exception to that rule, I would argue, is Cloud9 doesn't need a life coach. So they, so what I mean by like being in person, why it's important to be in person is so you can see the interactions between the teammates, and if it's unhealthy or if it's not constructive, or let's say somebody has a bad game and then they just start bitching at someone else because they just like feel bad for playing so shitty, and then it's just like really small petty stuff that ends up mattering a lot and damaging like the team atmosphere. That kind of stuff doesn't happen at Cloud9. I would be really surprised if I like walked into a Cloud9 scrim and they were crying at each other like, wow, you suck, like, wow, why'd you play so bad, you like should do this next time instead. No, they're like really constructive and nice to each other, honestly. From all my interactions with them, they seem super friendly with each other. They're probably the tightest team in LCS. That's why they're the best team in LCS. So Charlie's just there to help them gameplay stuff only, because they don't need that other stuff. But obviously, I think we need both. We need the gameplay and we need the life coach. And that's why it's so important to be in person for us. For Cloud9, not so much.
You tweeted last week that something that basically alluded to a possible retirement from you. Because of that, I had many people tweet me, message me, email me, and come up to me at this event and ask me if you were retiring, or try to persuade me to persuade you not to retire. Yeah. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Was there, we actually, people don't know this, but you and I actually haven't spoken much because you've been so busy with this. So I don't even know. Was there a chance that, is there a chance that you will be retiring?
Yeah, I mean, after we got 3-0'd by Curtis, I knew I didn't play very well, and like there was a lot of pressure on me to perform. I always feel like there's the most pressure on me because I like represent CLG in a lot of ways, and they've given me this opportunity to be the superstar. Even though like, okay, fuck, this is so hard to explain. I'm gonna go back to the first misconception about CLG, which is like I want to carry super hard. Um, So like it's actually a really awful argument that people have where like they think that I want to funnel all resources so that I can 1v5 carry and just screw over the rest of the map, which is actually the exact thing that I've been working to stop for the last 2 years. I do not want to have all this pressure on me to perform because I know that I'm not a perfect player. And even though sometimes I have my moments where I'm really good, I also have moments where I completely throw the game for my team and I just feel terrible. So I do not want all this pressure on me to perform. I would much rather just get carried and win because winning is the goal here. It's not like looking good in front of the crowd. So like when people say, wow, Doublelift just like wants all the jungle pressure and just wants everything going for him, all the farm and stuff like that, that's like super wrong. Why would I want to do that when I could just do the best thing and like strategize to win instead? I don't get into team meetings and be like, all right, guys, just give me all the farm and I'll win the game for you. Don't worry. Like that's not how team meetings work. Everyone discusses the best like strategy that we're going to use. I don't know. Anyways, so going into packs or it's not packs, playoffs. We played Chris got 3-0'd. Probably like the worst feeling ever to be just automatically DQ'd from Worlds, and also like so much expectations of CLG after we did the boot camp. Like everyone was thinking that we were going to be super good, and it was like horrible to disappoint them. And I don't know. I just got to think about it a little bit. Like, what am I going to do now? Because Worlds was everything. You know, you worked for it for a whole year, and then to get it like shut down from you like that, it really sucks. I mean, I don't think people really understand what it's like to be a pro gamer. You really just practice 12 to 16 hours a day, every day with no weekends, no breaks, and then at the end of the year you play this one best of 5, and that decides whether you go to Worlds or not. And that's everything that you've been working for 364. So it really sucks, I guess. And I just knew that if I am part of the problem, like I knew that team atmosphere was a big contributor to why we lost. And if I'm part of the problem and they think that it's worth it to replace me, then they should replace me. And at the time I was like, there's no way they're not going to replace me. Like I don't play well enough to justify being like a negative part of the team. So yeah, I kind of just like started making plans to go work for Riot or do something else because being a pro player really isn't worth it when you feel like you're dragging everyone down.
You said you started to make those plans. Have you had second thoughts, or is that still in the works?
Well, I think after talking to Link, we lost a dig, and then we're in relegation. It's probably like the most down I've ever felt in my career. I was talking to Link, and I was like, so what are you going to do? And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to give it one more year because I know I could play better. And I admired that because it's like he has the fortitude to keep going when he's down and just like not give up. It sucks to I know like it's kind of what I want to do too. I don't want to leave like half my book empty pages, you know. I want to at least like fill out the rest. So I'm going to try to stick with the team for another year and just play competitively. If we don't make Worlds, then I'll probably put into some serious consideration. But yeah, I want to keep playing. I do. Because I really like CLG, and I'm super close with Lincoln Afro, and I wouldn't want to stop playing with them for anything, really.
You guys have relegations next week. A lot of people feel as though, you know, with the focus on playoffs, it feels to some people, I'm sure, that the story is dead here, but you guys actually still have to compete to maintain your spot in the LCS. Yeah. After such a, you know, serious, dramatic loss to Curse and then dramatic or semi-dramatic loss to Dignitas this week, are you at all concerned that a repeat will happen and you'll just be forced out of the LCS either way?
I think we just need to have like a nice team talk again and just like we're not going to fix the problems that we have, but we can at least try to like overlook them and not be so negative about, because like everyone knows that we have a lot of problems, like a million, and we can just try to overlook them for 1 week. I think for just the purpose of making sure we stay in LCS, and then we can start talking about changes and what we're going to do to fix it. But for now, like we just need to put a Band-Aid on it, you know? Maybe like just overlook the million things that are going wrong in our lives and just buckle down and try to win, because this is like, even if you're on a shitty team, you know, like we're not we're shitty right now. So even if you're on a shitty team, it's better to be on a shitty team than a team that's like not in LCS. So we don't want to do that.
Scara, in an interview that I did with him, suggested that you guys should actually just take a break for a little bit to clear your mind because of how jumbled everything probably is. Any chance of that?
Yeah, I want to take a break, but I guess it's hard because like I might be doing stuff for Worlds. I hope so. I really want to be an analyst again for Worlds, and I don't know. I guess it's just like the pro player life. You don't really get any free time or break or anything, but that's okay because I think I've grown a lot as a person this last year, and I don't really mind having to work super hard for another year so I can achieve my dream, you know? There's people out there who like work like 2 or 3 jobs at once so they can make ends meet, and I have no problem with just like going nonstop and trying to do my best.
Now that we have the serious stuff out of the way, 1 year ago this week at this event, I did an interview with you where I introduced you to a cosplayer. I'd like to say that now that we're in your hotel room, she's actually been in the closet the entire time. If you turn around... No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. Did I scare you for a second?
No, not even close. Because how would she get in my room?
You never know. I have my ways. Is there anything you want to say to any of the fans out there? I know there's been so much talk and so much hate and so much love and literally every single emotion.
Well, it's nice to be at events because when I'm feeling super down and just like, I don't know, just really, really, really messed up and not in a good mental spot, then I can always go to the event and I'll hear like words of encouragement from like CLG fans who are really dedicated and say stuff like, hey, even though you guys lost, I'll be supporting you no matter what season is, season 5, season 6, season 7. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you guys lose, I'll always be a fan. And stuff like that just really helps me mentally. So yeah, I'm glad that I hear so much encouragement, and also I know we lost a lot of fans, and like I don't really care at all, because if you only liked us because we were rank 1 this split and we were successful, then you're not a real fan anyways. So, yep, I am appreciative of all my fans, and I'm gonna do my best for you guys, the loyal ones, next split.
Any other shout-outs that you want to make so that your general manager doesn't yell at you?
Yeah. Shout-outs to Twitch, Razer, iBuyPower, NZXT, and we got a new sponsor, Cellucor, and our new sponsor is SanDisk. We were at their booth a lot. We were doing 1v1s, and everyone lost so far to like some random diamond player. I lost 1 game. Hotshot lost like 2 games, and yeah, they won some free stuff, but it was really surprising that we would lose 1v1s. I'm sad.
After watching your past couple of matches.
Not so surprising. It's true.
All right, well, thank you so much for the interview, Doublelift. It's very good to hear you being so honest and candid, and hopefully that answers a lot of the questions from the fans. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage of all things PAX and more at ongamers.com.